Hello, my beautiful friend. I'm Serenity Ravenwolf.
And I am Robert Hubbs. And together we are Love Heals Humanity. I'm really glad you could be here for our Love Heals Humanity show today. It's a really exciting show. I mean, they're all exciting shows, but this one is kind of special to me personally. I want to talk about some really exciting things. And I know when Serenity and I were looking at what this show was going to be and getting into the headspace of it, we recognized these messages from the universe. And it was all about, are you tuning in? We all know the power of following that loving guidance from our intuition that the universe is sending us. But sometimes we struggle to recognize the small signs, the subtle signs, the messages that the universe wants us to have. And that's the messages that we at Love Heals Humanity want you to have. So I think that's a great point to jump off. Serenity. What about those small signs? What about those messages that the universe is sending that we're not picking up, that I'm not picking up?
Most of us aren't picking them up. And that said, sometimes we are. Like when we're fully present, not only in the moment but in our bodies. Like most of us kind of live our lives ejected outside of our bodies in some form. And
Yeah,
an
yeah.
example of that is kind of like, you're on a $40 a month mobile or cell phone plan, and you expecting to only get a $40 bill, and you didn't read the fine print of how the plan works, and suddenly next month you receive an $800 bill,
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
go, ah! And it's like in that moment you literally like energetically completely and utterly eject out of your body, and you're in what I call the beyonds. And when we're living in some or any form of that, we struggle to see the subtle signs from the universe, because messages from the universe are kind of another way to describe that, are signs from the universe, guidance from the universe, our inner whispers, which is also our intuition. So to me, I interchange all the words because they're kind of one and the same thing.
Hmm.
And the greatest gift, I just went blank. That happens
No
when I
sign. No
channel. It's
sign.
like I hit a black spot. I know when I'm channeling, when I don't even know what the next word is, I just go blank and go, oh, black spot. I'll just wait a moment, it'll either pick up or it won't.
I
The
spent a huge chunk of my life like that, so don't.
I know. The greatest gift for me has been when I recognize that I'm just not seeing those subtle signs, those whispers, those little gentle taps on the shoulder from the universe. I acknowledge it and sort of, got it. And then I just
Mm,
ask the universe to make those subtle signs like big, huge billboards on the side
yeah,
of the road for a time.
yeah.
And in a moment, I'm back in my body again. And that has worked insanely well for me.
But see, our society doesn't want that. We don't live on subtlety. We're not geared for subtlety. We're geared for over the top exuberance, huge, big, loud. I mean, everybody's the greatest this, the most amazing that. It seems like everything in the world right now is trying to pull us away from subtlety, away from intuition, and away from that inner state. I mean, we're all busy. Like, I'm sure there's nobody on this call
None
who's
of
going to say,
us
"Oh,
are
I just
busy.
sit around." No, no, nobody's busy. Don't be ridiculous. That's why we need everything delivered to our homes same day. How do we get out of that? How do you listen to those signs?
Well, I find that, and another concept that goes really, really well with this, like a hand in a glove, and I live highly by it. The universe, God, the source, the angels, whatever you want to call that, the all there is, has three ways that they can guide us. And it came to me several years ago called Featherbrick Mac Truck. So feather is the preferred way because it's the gentlest. How do you know what feather guidance is? The subtle signs from the universe. And that's when something just doesn't feel right, feels off, feels not quite right. And that's when I start asking questions. Further questions, clarifying questions about, am I on the right path? Am I doing the right thing? And then I wait for those other subtle signs and guidance. That said, though, if the universe is trying to lovingly guide us in a certain direction or to do a certain thing or to take a certain opportunity, it kind of energetically steps up. And I jokingly say it's like you go from the feather tickle, not feeling quite right, to pebbles are being thrown at you, and then it energetically starts feeling like rocks and boulders and motorbikes and minibuses, and eventually the universe, as the loving guide and parent that it is, loves us so dearly and so much that it will send us a Mack truck to keep us on path, to help us fulfill what we chose, our existential program for this lifetime, what we chose to come here for. And that can be, I've had a family member experience this recently. She's been given for years the guidance to get on her path, to open up her gifts, to be and have all of her, to self-love, so she can not only heal a slew of health conditions and issues. And my intuition keeps whispering at me, she can live a very, very healthy life, but she needs to take the alternative path, do things differently, focus on things differently, where because she ignored it for so long, the universe, as I mentioned, the loving guide and parent, has taken away from her that which was keeping her from doing and being this and being and having it all. Now, understandably, she's going through the grieving process, but she's also aware that, and the Lord said, let there be light. There was light, and that light was good. I can be an evangelist. Sorry.
No.
Serenity's a tad quirky.
No, don't be a televangelist. That's not right.
Okay.
But I want to go back to what you were just talking about there, because it's something that I've looked at in a lot of different ways, and I part of what I feel is like if you're stubborn enough to persevere past all of those, feathers, the brick, even the Mack truck, because some of us are pretty relentless, and I know that our society teaches, hey Tom, I know our society teaches us that sometimes you just need to stick to it. You need to stubborn it all out, and I'm not a stubborn it all out lacking guy. I'll ride it out. I'll tough it out. Pain. That macho thing, and I don't follow that ethic. I know that I can tough out a lot of stuff. I mean, I've done startup companies, worked marketing, worked tech for years. You got to be stubborn, but there has to be a balance. How do you strike that balance? The whole world isn't about balance. It isn't about subtlety. How do you strike that?
Yeah, for me though, Robert, it's not about being stubborn and toughing it out. It's being persistent. Because to me, there's a big difference between being stubborn and toughing it out.
Yeah, but how do you know? How do you know when you're being persistent and when you've gone too far? That's the subtle sign.
Again, that's the subtle sign. And if you're missing those, ask them to just be big, huge billboards on the side. That's worked wonderful. And suddenly, I'm seeing big signs. And at some point, I don't know, I'm seeing the subtle signs again because I'm fully present in not only energetically within my body, but within my life as well. The intuition that is like the satellite dish, the connection, the frequency that is picking up these messages from the universe. Because I don't really see much of a difference, if any, between the subtle whispers of my intuition, that gut feel, and the universe giving us messages, God, creator, flying purple monkeys, I don't care what you call it, it's the same thing.
If it's flying purple monkeys.
I'm inclusive and multi-faith, right?
That's the Mack truck end of the spectrum. If I see flying purple monkeys, that's a pretty clear sign. I know pretty well that that's kind of gone off the rails.
I know. Though for me though, what that means is that how do I, you were asking the question, how do I know?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, that intuition, that subtle whisper, sometimes, more often than not, might just happen to know the answer before the person's even finished speaking.
Mm.
Or immediately after. If we wait longer than a millisecond for the answer, the guidance, the next piece of direction, the next breadcrumb of direction and guidance from the universe, then there's a high likelihood we've bypassed the intuition, which kind of lives in our gut, solar plexus, heart area, and we've gone to our cognitive mind. And I'm highly of the belief that if our cognitive mind had all the answers, we'd all be living our dream life and we'd all have peace on earth. So I'm thinking it knows diddly squat, maybe. You know, it knows how to keep us safe. You know, don't put your hand on the heated plate on the stove, you might burn yourself. But when it's matters of the heart, life choices, life guidances, I actually don't believe that has the answers. But when you can get the cognitive mind and the heart in alignment and working together, now you have, like, I know, the sexy, juicy source of the universe. I don't know. You got something really beautiful.
Okay.
Well, a yummy big scoop of ice cream from the universe, call it whatever you like. Yeah. And that is a journey too. And that's it, even when you have that, even most of the time, I'm still of the belief, I don't care if you're Jesus or Buddha or Allah, whoever was down here on the earth, Saint Germain, whoever had a human suit experience. If you're having a human suit experience, regardless of how evolved your soul may or may not be, you're gonna fall off the wagon now and again, even for just a millisecond. You know, and I call them human suit moments.
And falling off the wagon is one thing, but getting run over by it is something else.
Well,
like there's
choose to stay there, right?
Well, you know, or it backs up on you. I mean, let's be honest, that we're not always prepared in this life for, you know, the subtleties. I keep saying it. Maybe it's just me, but I think there's others out there struggling with the same thing about, like, learning to get those subtle signs. And I come across it a lot in business. I come across it in amongst individuals on a personal level. Subtlety is not a forte. You know, some people are born with it. You clearly, as I know from many conversations and many hours spent with you, that you have that. Can we learn it? Is there hope for the universe deaf, message deaf, or?
No, absolutely not. Show over. No, just joking.
Okay, go home.
Go home.
Thanks for
done. Sorry.
This is
wrong topic.
Love heals nothing.
I absolutely believe pretty much almost anything can be learned. You know, I can't necessarily change the colour of my skin or the colour of, I can change the colour of my eyes. I can learn to wear contacts, I guess.
Yeah.
But generally,
I've got the glasses. I take them off because they really blew everything in the lights. Everything just.
My glasses work well today because I'm sitting at that point where the short glasses don't work and I'll do the long ones. So if you see me do this, there's a reason.
Okay.
It just starts with, everything starts with a choice and decision.
Yeah.
The choice and decision, it's a part of the journey within. Choosing to be your own divinely loving presence, loving your own heart. This helps us be more present in our body, present in our lives, and helps us listen to those subtle, like at some point, like the defining point for me here was at when I was 38, and I'm 55 now, ages a number. One day I looked in the mirror, and I have a gift of looking at people's inner house, which is their soul, and because it presents itself to me as like it's some form of dwelling. And I hadn't looked in my eyes for a long time, and this day I looked into my eyes and I said, who are you? Like, I divorced so much of myself, buried so much of myself for the sake of pleasing others, to make them feel comfortable. Do you hear that phone ringing?
No, must be your end. Or it's a subtle sign from the universe.
My husband's in India, and he's just got landed in India and just woken up, and he's wanting to say good morning, I love you. Isn't that beautiful?
There you go. That's not a subtle sign, but that is love from the universe.
That is love from the universe, and that is a subtle and or less than subtle sign to say that I am loved. And so right now I feel, even though I didn't answer that call, I actually feel very, very loved and seen and acknowledged and appreciated. So sorry, where were we? We were talking
about phone calls from the universe. No, we're talking about the signs and about that picking up on the subtleties, and you know, I think a lot of what you said has to do with coming back to what is on the quiet inside, to be able to pick that up, and maybe that goes back to what, you know, I was saying earlier about how much we don't have that quiet in our life anymore.
Oh, that's right. I looked into my eyes and said, because I divorced so much of myself to not offend others and to please others, and I'm sure absolutely none of you watching this have ever done that, right?
Absolutely not. No.
Right. And I looked into my eyes and I said, who are you? And in half a heartbeat, I said, don't even bother answering that. Whoever you are, I don't even like you. So in that moment, I made the decision that I would be the most loving presence in my life, and in every interaction I had in the world, I would be and have all of me, and I would put myself first and foremost. Never again would I ever be second. People like me for exactly something, and this goes back to about everything is energy. Energy is a mirror of our alignment. So people either like me for exactly who I am, or the universe is giving me one of those even less than subtle signs that there's a misalignment here, and why am I with those people if there's a misalignment? I'm potentially just going to offend them. If I'm offending anyone, there's a misalignment. The universe is giving me a subtle, and now I see that as a less than subtle sign that that I'm hanging with the wrong people. If it feels off, you know, the feather of that, it just, something doesn't feel quite right. Like I might get an invitation to join a group, even on Facebook, or join some other social media platform, and I join a group, and then I start interacting, and people start upping me for the rent for sharing what I know or I'm sharing on this call here. And I'm going, if I offend you, we can never offend anyone or anything when there is alignment.
Right. And so much of it comes down to recognizing that within ourselves and letting that alignment happen, and letting ourselves be in it, because it's really easy to overthink that. I think that's part of what you were saying earlier.
Yeah, and that's part of why I just was silent at the end of saying that. Very, very powerful. I know we're getting close to the affirmation part, and I'm just making it bigger so I might actually be able to see them without my glasses.
Okay. Yep.
So I think that said, though, if anyone has any questions or points that they would like to share, either now or through the replay. If it's through the replay, help us out and write #replay so we know you wrote the question later on and I just didn't miss it during the call.
Because signs may be subtle, but hashtags aren't.
Hashtags are a little... hello, thank you for joining us. Ainsley from Kentucky. Welcome.
Hey,
Kentucky is in the house.
Yeah, there's a lot of challenge for a lot of people with alignment, and we're glad to have you here, Dina. So yeah, you're always welcome, and you know, you're always welcome to ask questions and to join us and ask, as Serenity said, even if you want to ask it during a replay, we'd love to hear your questions, whether it's dealing with the subtle signs.
Replay, right?
Whether you remember or don't remember to write hashtag.
Hashtags just make it easy to find stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Hashtags make it
And
easy to
search
find stuff.
stuff. If I'm searching a group or a thing,
Yeah.
I can, and they pop up, and then I can go straight to them. So that said, as no questions have come through live today, God bless everybody. I'm going to work with the premise that everyone understood this, and it's changed their lives so much. They're hearing their intuition. They know the answers. I'm under the belief that our intuition has all the answers.
Or maybe we've lost everybody in the process.
I doubt that.
I doubt that.
Very, very much. So that said, we're moving to the portion where I got 5 or 6 affirmations that I'd like to share with you, and you can play that part over and over again if you like, and I think that would support you. And then we'll go to just a few minutes worth of some strong and powerful healing energy that I can bring through, that I've asked the universe to, I don't know, tailor to the people that are on the show live, those that will come forward on this topic and around this topic, to shift and open and activate that.
Yeah, and you don't have to be on the call live to benefit from that.
Once it's encoded into what it is that's happening in the now, it's there forever. Infinitely scary, really. Okay, so everybody, moving into the affirmations. My intuition is vast, natural system providing me with information beyond my physical senses. I feel how expansive it feels, trusting myself and life. Releasing fears helps me hear and trust my inner guidance. I know it is safe to follow the guidance of my intuition. I am open to greater multidimensional awareness. I hear the silent whispers of my inner communication, which guides me with unconditional love toward my highest good. So moving into the healing energy, I just request that you expand your energies, your aura, whatever you want to call that, out into the universes and beyond. And getting out of our heads and down into our hearts. In your mind's eye, a feather will present itself to you of any shape, colour or size, and as feathers do, it will drop gently down, 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 landing gently in the sacred space of our hearts. And from here, I'll create an energy ball, and I'll put all the energy that's created from this healing for myself and the universe into a ball, and then I will blow it like I'm blowing petals and wishes into the universe, into your heart. And so we don't have silence, I can just take the opportunity, as I always love to do, and say, I love you. I love you. Excuse me if I shake, it's just extra energy coming through. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. Allow these words to wash over and through you, landing in the sacred space of your heart. I love you. Welcome home, beautiful. Welcome home. I love you. Okay, when my eyes start going left and right, I'm starting to suspect that the energy is starting to dissipate, which it is. So I'll just bring it all together, make it a little smaller, and are you ready for more? That's it, right there. I love you. Welcome home, beautiful.
if anyone else has to manage to keep their eyes open, I want to make sure I don't zone out sometimes in the middle of those. I know, Serenity, you're famous for time warping when we're on the shows, but I can't zone out.
Yeah, and the shows were a bit longer because Serenity was the timekeeper, and Serenity times out when she brings these informations through. So we've dubbed this week and forevermore, Robert is the timekeeper.
Yeah. But in those moments, when you're in affirmations, when you're, flowing into that, it's really great to just let yourself flow so deep into it. One of those great subtle spaces opens up and lets us listen to the rest of the universe. So much more clarity. It's awesome. Absolutely. We're so glad everybody could join us today. It's so wonderful experience to be here with you all. And we'd love for you to join us at Love Heals Humanity on our Facebook group. And of course, you can catch the show on YouTube in the replays. And join us for our upcoming Clarity Workshop. You can get all the details you want about that. There's a QR code right in front of you, as you can all see. That's not subtle. Well, it kind of is, because you can't read it by looking at it. But we'd love to have you join us again next week on the show for episode number 4. Ooh. What are we talking about next week, Serenity?
I don't know. Why don't you share that with us, Robert?
I think it's about clarity. I think it's one of those topics that everybody has something that they think about clarity, and something that they can benefit from for clarity. And I know that for me, clarity has been like a cornerstone of so much of my life, and I'm thinking next week's going to be yet another really exciting show.
What's the title of the show for next week?
You asked me a factual question after you put me into this
clarity
space of calm reflection. I'm floating in this calm reflection. You're like, okay, you got to be the timekeeper, and I want you to read stuff. Okay, fine.
No, I've got it in front of me. I'll read it. Clarity, freeing the senses to connect to truth. And on that note, I just feel blissed out, actually.
I get it.
Yeah. So I'd like to say until next week, same bat time, same bat channel, or same love time, same love channel. I hope that doesn't sound sleazy.
No bats. There's no bats.
Love time, love channel. Yeah, I'd like to sign off and say this is Serenity Ravenwolf, loving you with all my heart. And see you next week. Bye.
See you. Bye.